Good day and welcome to today's ME2C Environmental as part of the Planet MicroCap Showcase. It's now my pleasure to turn the floor over to your host, President and CEO, Richard McPherson of ME2C Environmental.
Well, thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to join with you folks today and update the market on where we are and what our future looks like. The presentation that we have uploaded today is available after the presentation as well, should anybody need it for reference. Our talk today is basically to talk about our past, where we are now in the present, but most importantly, where we're going in the future, and how we became a leading clean tech technology company, guiding the power industry's transition to a more sustainable future. There's a legal disclosure page, of course, in the presentation, and I will leave that for folks to read and fully understand on their own time. But for now, let's just take a quick look at our past and how we became a leading environmental technologies firm that we are today. We've been around and been working since 2008 on our technology, starting out originally, of course, in the mercury capture side of things, introducing our patented technologies to the market, starting off again in full-scale testing in 2008. We put our own lab team in place to travel from plant to plant, our own operations team to carry out all of that testing. I was actively involved as well, carrying out the testing. We would typically go 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, 4 to 6 months at a time at the different plants. And we tested for many years before we landed our first commercial contract, which was a couple of large twin boilers in the Northwest in Washington State, which they are still clients today. So we got a strong team, very well vetted and experienced in the market, and very well prepared to be able to expand on our business base that we've now established across the country. You can see in the slide some of the various different attendees that conferences that we attended, and actual photos of our group working in the field. There's an award there that we won as well from Vistra, which was very important to us, and an actual photo of one of our units that we use on the street today. So moving forward from that, talking a bit more about our technologies, we are professionals and we have very, very high pedigree in the chemisorption world of sorption technologies, as well as in the physisorption side of things. That know-how, that experience is what was able to allow us to create these technologies and put enough into them so that they've maintained, after many years, a significant portion of the mercury capture systems installed and operating across the country. We also have grown significantly over the past 6 months in particular, but back in 2016, as we were ramping up the technologies, we had some significant growth year over year from 2014 to 16, and we're very much looking forward to getting back to those levels and beyond, of course, as we move forward, now that we've begun to monetize all of the adoption of the technologies that have been installed over the last few years. When we take a look at our present situation, sustainability is one of the key words that I would talk about. We have very good, solid business relationships throughout the market with our present clients, and we're building on that as we go forward into the next few years, based on the patent acceptance that we've been receiving through the settlements that we've recently got with the folks that are now using our technologies, and also we've been able to get to this point, this pivotal point of development, because of the tight fiscal management and long-term commitment of the entire team. So that while we were working our way through these last 3 years of repositioning and getting our patents tightened up and and put in a position where they would be readily accepted and acknowledged, we did what we had to do, service the clientele that we had, and keep our costs in line so that we could have this breakout year that we're now experiencing. You know, there's another area of key opportunity that we have been working on diligently over this past year and a half that will come to a fairly significant turning point in the next week or two, and that is the refined coal industry and how we feel they have been using our technology in their overall program. We've yet, of course, to proven that, but we do feel that we have something to be acknowledged there. It's been in front of the judge for a while now. We expect to get some clear guidance on our position there in the very near future. We're looking forward to that. We'll, of course, advise the market accordingly. But with regards to our actual utilities and the folks that we are now working with that have either adopted our technologies or are working with them in a way that we would be able to either license or replace their supply side, we're working forward with those groups right now. We've most recently contacted another large group of folks that we've identified that we feel are using our technology. And so we've got a business-first approach to those folks. We're meeting with them, discussing with them as we speak to create a relationship that sees us monetizing the use of our patent technologies for the betterment of our shareholders, and also we feel for the utilities themselves, because as the creators of the technology, we feel we can find efficiencies for them in our being directly involved in their operations, and that's what we're working toward. With regards to our future, our sustainable technologies, we think, will lead, and we really feel that our know-how in the technology field is allowing us, or will allow us, to have some real functional technologies come to market, not just, you know, theoretical things that work in the lab but don't work in the field. Our experience, our know-how, our ability is to take the know-how from the lab and the chemistry and the engineering side of things and translate that into real-world technologies. And that's what we're working on right now in a couple of different fields. And as I've mentioned in past discussions, we've talked about these new technologies and how we're going to introduce them going forward, and I'll talk more about those today. Some folks are concerned that coal-fired industry is going to just disappear. We certainly feel that's not the case. I think we're moving towards a carbon neutral future, but I think it's many, many years down the road. And as a case in point, the actual consumption of coal and the output of power in the USA in 2021 will far surpass that of 2020, regardless of the desire of most utilities even that they reduce their carbon footprint. Coal has a position, and that position will be maintained for many years to come, even though some plants might shutter. The efficiencies and the condensation of output into some significant central plants will continue, so that coal will provide a significant amount of power over the years to come, and our projections will reflect that with regards to our expectation of the potential for revenue growth. And I want to be clear, folks, we've yet to give solid guidance on where we are going to be this year, next year, and beyond, although we will be making an announcement very shortly as to when our Q1 earnings call will take place. And I'm looking forward to discussing where we see our revenue stream going over the next few quarters and years during that call. So this slide is meant to show the potential revenue base that we see given the folks that we know are using our process and estimating what the potential would be either through licensing or supply side for us, given their continued use of that technology. This is just a quick look at one of our own in-house built out pieces of equipment that will allow us to generate up to $100 million of annual supply side. This is a facility of ours located in Texarkana that we not only designed and built but fully paid for. So we are set up with very little CapEx requirements to grow the company from this point forward. And again, I'm looking forward to bringing a picture of that starting growth in the earnings call to come in the very near future. Moving on to discuss our know-how and experience and knowledge in that chemisorption model type field. We've been working for the last couple of years in the methane capture side of things. We're actually testing live now, and we'll have some results in the very near future that we will bring to the market. But we see methane capture as a very significant objective of the new administration and of the gas industry as a whole. We think we have a very good shot at bringing some technology to bear on that, and we will keep the market apprised of our developments in that field as we move forward. So with regards to where we are right now, we have a solid position on monetizing all of the adoption of the mercury processes that are in place across the country. We're actively moving forward on that after initial significant success. We are looking forward to expanding on our expertise into other fields, including the methane business, but also in the rare earth element extraction and coal ash pond remediation, which we have spoken about in past, which I will talk more in detail once we get to the next earnings call. We'll have a very significant update on that technology development as well. We've engaged MZ Group to get our message out there, and as we move towards what we're hoping will be an uplisting sometime in the first half of this year, we think we'll be adding the value to the core enterprise in order to be able to increase the overall value of the company to its shareholders going forward. So in closing today, I just want to thank everybody for listening in, and I'll open the floor for any questions anybody might ask. So I've got a first question is, could you talk a little bit about your new environmental technology under development, when we should expect pilot testing to begin, and when you believe these technologies will be ready for market? So as I just mentioned, we're working on the methane technology and development now. We're in the lab working now. That one's probably not going to be field tested until the last quarter of this year. A lot of work to get to the field testing time for that. But we would hope to get field testing in the last quarter on the methane product. On the wastewater remediation and rare earth extraction, we're further down the road on that. I expect that we will have full pilot scale testing underway in the next quarter, if not latter part of this quarter. And we're just finalizing that pilot scale locale at this point to get started on it. So I think these technologies will take a lot more color over the next quarter or two, and as we get our results, we'll be able to report back to market. Next question is, you previously have mentioned you were applying for Nasdaq listing, hopefully happen in May. Current status, as I've just mentioned, that we are moving forward diligently to put all of the pieces together for that, and we will be moving forward in order to do an uplisting. Hopefully in the early part of June. Our objective is to get that done, as I mentioned, in the first half of this year. Reverse stock split, when, why, how? And I understand that this is a point that would that needs to be addressed, folks, as we go forward. My objective would be to move on to the Nasdaq or the New York without a reverse stock split. However, it is something that needs to be put in place just as a backstop should we require it at some point down the road. There has been no decision made on a stock split, and it is certainly nothing that we anticipate having to do at this point. We feel that we will have organic growth that will drive our stock to the $2 level that we need in order to move on to the Nasdaq, and we are in a projection right now to try to get to that point. So we'll be able to address that a little more during or after the earnings call. But for now, with the opportunities in front of us and the discussions going on, we feel very confident about where we'll sit with regards to the stock price and a potential reverse as part of that NASDAQ uplisting, if indeed it is the NASDAQ. Next question, what's the status of the remaining patent lawsuits? When you announce settlement agreements, never mention value amounts. So we're not permitted to mention value amounts in a settlement. Settlement is a settlement. So we will be not making specific announcements, but as we get into the earnings call, you'll get a very strong sense both from the numbers that we present and the discussion of those numbers as to what to expect going forward and how we'll be managing the growth of the company. There are no remaining patent lawsuits other than the suit against the multiple partners of the refined coal program. There are no other lawsuits with any other utilities. We settled all four that we had put in position. And unless we're unable to work out commercial solutions with all of the folks that we're dealing with now, we shouldn't have any more lawsuits. So we're waiting on the big one on the refined coal to see if we can move forward with that. Other than that, it's looking for short-term, real business solutions rather than long-term lawsuits to monetize our patent position. So, folks, that's all the time I have for today. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen in. I hope it's been helpful, and very much look forward to coming back and speaking with the market. And we'll make that announcement early next week as to the time and date of that earnings call. So thank you very much appreciate your time.
Thank you. This does conclude today's webcast. Thank you for your participation and have a wonderful day.